GM, thank you. Okay. Okay, once you close the door, I will start. Please be seated. Thank you. Before we begin our ASA 20th Annual General Meeting, I wish to inform you that General Prem Tinrasuranon, the President of the People's Council and the Elder Statesman, as well as our former Prime Minister of Thailand, has passed away last Sunday, May 26. Please join me upstanding for a moment of silence to express our condolence with the Thai people for 1 minute. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Now, Captain Ng, could you proceed, please?
ASA Chairman, Chairman of the Federation of ASEAN Ship Owners Association, Mr. Bumin Hairin-Sut, Head of Delegations, distinguished members, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you. I'm Ang Chin Eng, I'm the Secretary General of ASA. It is my honor to be here and to see everyone gathered here today for this event. I take this opportunity to thank all our members, the Chairman of ASA, the 5 Standing Committee Chairmen, the Federation of ASEAN Ship Owners Association Thailand, for hosting and taking great efforts to prepare this 28th ASA AGM. Before we begin, I would like to first mention that the ASA is committed to a strict competition law compliance statement. This statement is shown on the slide, which I now take it as being read. As the ASA is governed by the Constitution, a quorum for the AGM is required to be met. In accordance with Constitution number 19.2 of the ASA Constitution, the quorum required for the AGM shall be 2/3 of the total number of registered members of the ASA, represented by their representative or officially appointed proxy. We have 8 registered members, of which 6 registered members would constitute a quorum. Today, we have 7 members represented, and therefore the meeting completes the quorum. During the AGM, the terms ASA President and Vice President are used in accordance with the provisions under the Societies Act of Singapore. However, the ASA will continue to use Chairman and Vice Chairman in its future daily business. Each delegate is provided with a delegates folder which consists of all the documents and slides presented in today's meeting. The agenda items for the AGM can be found in section 2 of the folder. I would now like to invite the 28th ASA Chairman, Mr. Bumin Harinsud, to officially declare the opening of the AGM and present the Chairman's report. Mr. Bumin Harinsud, please.
Thank you, Kevin Ng. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Federation of ASEAN Shipowner Association, Thai Shipowner Association, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all ASEA shipowner delegates to Bangkok. During this very auspicious time, as you may already know, Thailand has recently celebrated the royal coronation of His Majesty the King Maha Vajiralongkorn earlier this month on the 4th of May, ushering a new era for the nation. As chairman of ASA, it is a great honor for FASA to be hosting the 28th Asia Annual General Meetings. We take this opportunity to greet all the distinguished delegates from across Asia and beyond to the land of smile, and hope that you enjoy your stay with us. At the start of 2019, Thailand has taken up chairmanship of the Association of Southeast Asia Nations, or ASEAN, under the theme of Advancing Partnership and Sustainability. As we conduct our discussion over these 2 days of AGM, we will be able to share our shipping knowledge, expertise among Asia ship owners, and provide platform, work closely together to better face challenges of shipping industry and also further enhance inter-region relations among our country. Shipping has been and will continue to be viable means of enhancing global trade. It is our duty as Asia ship owner to ensure that we continue to conduct ourselves in the most professional and responsible manner in both of our industry and environment. However, we tackle the challenges that we face today will inevitably have lasting effect on the future generation of ship owners. I look forward to continue and promoting the constructive dialogues and will be carrying on by the next generation and provide them with the tools and means to unite Asia to the rest of the world. At the spirit of planning the future, I would like to highlight that this year we have reviewed the Young Shipping Executive Session that will be held about 4:30 this afternoon. It promised to be a fun way of our younger generation to wind down after a full days of meetings. This session will serve as a quorum for them to connect with one another and to build on Asia-wide network of cooperation and friendship that will paramount the future of success. I'm also pleased to announce that yesterday Chairman Group meeting has approved ASA to set up another S committee, Shipping Young Executive, and the detail will be discussed during their meeting this afternoon. I hope that you stay with us, will be an enjoyable, and this AGM will not only help solidify our relationship with one another, but also enhance our shipping industry as a whole. Thank you for your kind attention. We shall now proceed to the meeting. Thank you. I would like to move to item number 2 on the agenda, report by ASA Secretary General. Captain Ng, the floor is yours, and makes the report on ASA activity for the past year.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chairman. Before proceeding on my report, this morning the 5S committee met to discuss the latest development, etc. So the technical developments and the whole mechanics of the ASA will be reported by the various respective chairmen, okay, later on. In this case, I will concentrate only on the main items. First and foremost, okay, as far as ASA is concerned, the way that we distribute and to inform members is through our ASA newsletter to date. And in this particular case, we have actually published, okay, our quarterly newsletter. The first one was the second quarter 2018, and that featured the 27th ASA AGM. Then on the third quarter 2018, we featured port control. And then for the third quarter, we featured the 2020 vision, time for a close look at charter party clauses. And then beginning of this year, the first quarter of 2019, we featured the ASA 5 standing committees. The ASA Secretariat during this year also supported 4 position papers with ICS, International Chamber of Shipping, ECSA, European Community Ship Owners Association, and then 1 paper with the World Shipping Council. And these are in the following areas. The first one is compliance with 2020 global sulfur cap. And we are pleased to report to members that all 3 organizations were mentioned in MEPC 74 as a source of reference for their deliberations. The second item that we worked on was a conservation and sustainable use of biological diversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction. Again, we work in conjunction with the ICAS and AXA. Then on the third item, the third position paper, together with ICS and AXA, we also produce adequacy of the EU ship recycling regulation. This one was headed by AXA because it is something to do with the European community. And with the World Shipping Council, we work together on the European Commission to extend the consortia block exemption regulation. And in fact, this has also elevated to an extent where actually all 3 organizations also presented, okay, fair trade practices at the World Trade Organization in Geneva just about 2 weeks ago. Besides this participation, we also got involved with a number of activities. Okay, we presented at the IMO, we presented the IMO 2020 Global Sulfur Cap seminar at ASA's ACS seminar on the 8th of August at Mumbai. We also presented, okay, the 2020 sulfur cap. In this time, we're talking about contaminated fuel at the 12th ASEF Forum, the Active Ship Expert Federation Forum, and that is on the 23rd of October at Dalian. We also presented an item on greenhouse gas emission, ballast water management at the A3 expert meeting, okay, Dalian, 24th October. The A3 expert is actually 3 of the ASEAN bodies working together: ASA, ACS, Asian Classification Society, and ASEF together. So we meet regularly to discuss issues affecting Asia. Then the technical manager also presented the 2020 sulfur cap, greenhouse gas emission, ballast water management, now at the A3 executive meeting on 6 November 2018 in Beijing. And then we attended, okay, the ICS board meetings on the 5th and 6th of February, and that was in London. What is very significant is that this year, we signed an MOU with both ICS and ASA, and that happened on the 8th of April during the Singapore Maritime Week. We also attended the RECAP ICS Paris Sea Robbery Conference 2019 during the same Maritime Week, and also attended the Singapore Maritime Technology Conference 10 to 12 April in Singapore. We also joined the industry working group on ship recycling, and then we attended and presented, okay, at the International Seminar on Ship Recycling towards the early entry into force of the Hong Kong Convention. And that was presented at the IMO HQ with the IMO delegates. And we are pleased to report it is very well received. Okay, at least a lot of the IMO delegates now are aware of ASA. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we also did a presentation at the World Trade Organization, Geneva, on the 14th of May, 2019, about fair trading practices. And we attended the MEPC 74, and this is the last MEPC 74 before the introduction of the 2020 Global Sulfur Cap, and it was an important meeting because during this time, a number of guides were, were confirmed, and not only that, where there was still uncertainty, these were referred to the PPR 6 and PPR 7, which hopefully will be able to give us more of their confirmation and results and create more certainty as we move towards 1st January 2020. Now, listed here are the activities that the ASA Secretariat has actually participated in. So we will not go through it because it is very extensive. Okay, our involvement could be actually at the presentation level or just in attendance, listening to some of the experts. You can refer this in the delegates folder. Okay, all right. Okay, I will now hand over, okay, to the chairman to continue with the agenda items.
Items number 3, report by chairman of 5S committee. I would like to invite chairman of 5S committee to present the report. Mr. Hang Chow, chairman of Seafarer committee, please.
Distinguished Chairman of Asian Shipowners Association, Secretary General of Asian Shipowners Association, distinguished guests and delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the Seafarers Committee, I'd like to take this opportunity to express my sincere thanks to the FASA Thailand for their excellent arrangement of the meeting. The Seafarers Committee held its 24th interim meeting on 16th October 2018 in Xiamen, China, hosted by China Shipowners Association. The full report of the meeting is included in the meeting folders, and I'd like to give a brief note on following issues. First, local seafarer development. Looking back at the past year, the committee is pleased to note that administration of ASA members are making great efforts to support the development of seafarers, promoting the cooperation with the training institutions and ship owners in the region in order to attract more young people to join the seafaring career. This will greatly promote the steady supply and employment of Asian seafarers. The number of seafarers in the past 3 years, which are part of the member associations reported, are as follows. Second, Maritime Labor Commission, 2006. Up to now, MLC 2006 has been ratified by around 19 states. As far as the implementation of convention, the committee is pleased to note that ASA member companies in general are able to satisfy its requirements. However, some ASA ship owners are still complaining because of the different explanation of MLC provisions by different port states. It has caused difficulties to ship owners and seafarers in implementing MLC 2006. At the same time, sub-ship owners also give special attention to the issue of maximum continued period of service on board. In view of the importance of this issue, the committee has set up a working group to study it in order to understand seafarers and shipping companies' view to this issue. We have sent questionnaires on the issue to a number of ship owners and thousands of seafarers with a view to find a solution. Third, STCW 2010. The committee is pleased to note that the Maritime Administration of member associations have ratified the amended requirements. They have approved special updating courses for seafarers and made necessary arrangements for this issue. The committee also notes that sub-ship owners have found that the factors such as lack of experience and risk awareness, failure to comply with the safety procedures often result in marine accidents. More and more courses of clearing and grounding also reveal that over-reliance of seafarers on ECDIS or AIS and the failing to pay attention to proper lookouts are important causes of accidents. Therefore, training for seafarers should focus more on practical shipbound operation. Meanwhile, because the requirements on the certification and manning of the able seafarers deck and engine are too high, sub-ship owners are worrying about the short supply of such seafarers. The committee is keeping a close watch on this issue. Fourth, psychological health and best practice. Nowadays, the issue of psychological health of seafarers is becoming more and more important. The whole society needs to care about this issue. It is well known that for seafarers, the working environment is closed. The responsibility is huge and the stress is great. The committee is pleased to note that member associations have taken negative steps to this issue. The best practices include providing short-term contracts, increasing on-board recreational facilities, ensuring sufficient shore leave, arranging close family members to bond ship, and so on. At present, shipping has become the most important carrier of global trade. The seafarer is a core factor of the shipping industry. Therefore, the committee will continue to strengthen cooperation with international organizations, regulators, and other bodies. We will try our best to enable seafarers to feel more satisfied, happy, and secure, to promote healthy development of shipping industry and global trade. Fifth, seafarers facilitation. The committee received reports from member associations that shipping companies are facing difficulties in some ports. When arranging seafarers sign off there, the transit visa as locally required are impossible in those ports due to no visa office available locally. The seafarers' identification documents convention revised entered into force on 9th February 2005. However, up to now, the convention is only ratified by 33 countries. Landing for shore leave is still not available. At some ports, due to the limitation of local port regulations. Six, any other business. As for marine environment protection, the 2020 sulfur limits and ballast water management pose new challenges to ship owners and to seafarers. Seafarers will have to undergo training to meet the new requirements, such as the operation of scrubbers. The committee draws the attention of association members to this matter. Seventh, next meeting. The 25th interim meeting of the committee will be held in the autumn of 2019, and the hosting association will be the CSA. Thank you very much for your attention, and I sincerely wish the 28th ASA Annual General Meeting a great success. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hang Chao, for your report. Any comments from the floor? If there is no comments, let's move to the Shipping, Insurance and Liability Committee, Mr. William Peng, to deliver his committee report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to take this opportunity to go through the Ship Insurance and Liability Committee report. There was the interim ASA 24th SILC meeting in March. We gone through a list of items on the agenda. Actually, it's a quite long list of agenda, but for today, I would like to just concentrate on 4 topics I would like to highlight for your attention and maybe also action with your with the association back with your government. we had a, well, we had, well, I think the biggest issue with the insurance and liability, again, it's a never-ending saga of the prestige. We can see in the, actually on December 20th, 2018, last year, the Spanish Supreme Court upheld the lower court's decision on the matter, which means that there's a total amount, a staggering amount of 1.65 billion of award is actually upheld. And I think what we see is a very worrying trend where the principle of ship owners' limited liability is challenged. And so what the problem now is that all the original basis of the reasoning behind these convention, which are actually decades old, it's getting kind of dusty. So what a lot of people are actually thinking that we should refresh what the original kind of the reasoning behind these conventions are, which of course is to have efficient, rapid compensation without going through long litigation. And so to safeguard this kind of the future sustainability of the liability and compensation regimes, that a draft is submitted to the ICS by ICS to IMO, so Legal Committee 106. And what we are trying to do here is there's a unified interpretation of the test on the IMO's liability conventions for breaking the ship owner's right to limit their liability. What we have actually is support, a co-sponsor of this was actually submission was co-sponsored by Greece, Marshall Islands, ICS, and IG. So there's actually a total of 35 states that supported the proposal, against 4 which that oppose it. Of course, 2 of which were Spain and France. So now there's a intercessional work that's going to be proceed through a correspondence group to coordinate until the next session, so we can actually have a legal definition of on this unified interpretation on limited liability. And what I would like to, the committee will hope that all the association groups can actually return to the government to ask for their support on this issue. And because in the IMO, we need to actually maintain our convention on limited liability. As you can see from the judge on the Prestige case, this is a very worrying trend where limited liability principle is challenged. So please, for all the member association, please speak with your government and support the IMO on this issue. The second issue we like to call to your attention is the HNS Convention. The committee would just like to report that there are actually 8 states, Canada, Denmark, France, Germany, Greece, Netherlands, Norway, and Turkey that have signed the protocol, subject to ratification. And then of which 4 states, Canada, Denmark, Norway, and Turkey have ratified it. So the protocol actually for HNS Convention, that's Hazardous and Noxious Substance Convention, will come into force 18 months after 12 states have ratified it. So including which 4 states each of no less than 2 million gross ton. So this one requirement actually is already met, this 2 million gross ton. So we still have 8 states that needs to be to ratify it. So I would like to, together with the committee, actually call on all the member associations to speak with your government and ensure that they can have the quick ratification of the HNS convention to ensure the full ratification of this convention. On the next issue is ports and places of refuge. And right now, only Malaysia out of the Asian countries actually have a plan on the place of refuge. And I think this is a very important matter for a lot of ships that may be in distress. And we talked earlier about Prestige and Erica, and a lot of those cases actually were a result of ships in distress where they have no places to go. So it's actually quite important that in all the Asian countries, all the members countries here, we can have a place of refuge plan. We actually have provided provided a template from the EU's plan, and this is important. So I think we'd like all the member associations to again go back to the maritime administrations to help lobby to have a place of refuge plan in place. And knock on wood, right now we actually don't have any incidents happening, and I think that is the moment before when it gets very politically sticky. So we should have the plans ready as soon as possible. The next topic that we'd like to kind of highlight and call to your attention is ocean governance with IMO as regulator. So what we have now is in the United Nations, as Captain Ang actually talked about, there's actually a high-level negotiation concerning biodiversity in areas beyond national jurisdiction, BBNJ. So what this work is going to do is likely to lead to an establishment of a marine protected areas on the high seas. And if we have this marine kind of protected areas on the high seas, it's going to affect shipping routing. So I think the industry led by ICS has been very concerned that we should all ensure that IMO stays as the primary regulator for international shipping. And we're working with the IMO secretary in this regard. So the ASA members are urged to go back to their national administrations, requesting their support on the matter and to ensure that the stakeholder government bodies within the administration will support this view, i.e. that IMO stays as the primary regulator and speak with one voice in the various international forum that they might attend when the topic is discussed. This is actually quite important because I think actually in terms of ocean, we all think that IMO is the regulator, but locally many times there's actually environmental agency, agriculture agencies that's in charge of fishery, that's also has a mandate in regulating ocean. So from shipping perspective, we really have to make sure and that IMO at the UN level continues to be our primary regulator. So I think this covers our report, and I thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much.
Is there any question or comments from the floor? Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to add some words to what has just been said about ocean governance and BBNJ. I went to New York, United Nations myself, actually, for the inaugural meeting of this in September last year. And I addressed a side event hosted by Norway, at which the IMO was also present. And maybe I'm being very simplistic, but to me, the idea that one would have to almost go and defend the role of IMO at the UN seemed very odd, because I always understood that the IMO is a part of the UN, or at least a UN agency. But I think to my amazement also is a number of delegates who came up to me afterwards, after I'd made my remarks, and said, gosh, we didn't know this and we didn't know that about how the maritime industry operates. It's just another example of where we need to do better in this regard. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? If there is no comments, let's move to shipping. Let's move to the safe navigation and environment. Mr. Espen Posen, could you give the report, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much on behalf of our committee to you and the Thai Shipowners Association for your excellent arrangements here at this very large and well-attended meeting. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. The SNEC had two meetings since last year. One was on the 18th of October and one was on the 12th of March, both held in Singapore. It goes without saying that the issue number one for this committee, as indeed for the industry as a whole, is the 2020 sulfur cap. And here are the highlighters of the cap. This will be followed by the Ballast Water Convention, CO2 reduction, and piracy and armed robbery. So these were our four main topics that we dealt with. Turning to the 2020 sulfur cap, it is, as I say, the pivotal issue for the industry, and the real challenge will be during the transition period from 2020 to 2021. I think everyone in this room are very well aware of this issue, and it is one that is receiving, obviously for good reason, huge attention from all quarters. We looked at, and particularly this morning at our very well-attended meeting, we looked at the quality blended fuel, sampling and compliance, and scrubbers. I won't go into, you have the details in your notes? They don't, okay. So I will briefly read through this. On quality blended fuel, ship owners have repeatedly expressed strongly that there must be a concerted effort on the oil suppliers' part to provide reliable, compliant fuel that will be safe to operate for the ships. Secondly, sampling and compliance. Calls have been made to port states, to IMO, to hammer down clear and consistent policies, including guidelines on sampling tests for compliant fuel on board ships. Given that there exist today empirical lab tests showing variances, 1 in 20 vessels, industry and port states have asked IMO to provide some variance acceptance level of lab testing showing results of 0.51 or 95% acceptance level. And thirdly, on scrubbers, amid growing discussions and reviews by many port states to ban entry of vessels with open-loop scrubbers, the industry have also called for a balanced view and further studies to be made so as not to penalize early adopters of such scrubber systems, and this is ongoing work. The industry concerns availability, blending, fuel quality, disposal of non-compliant fuel, scrubbers, testing guidelines and tolerances, etc., proliferation of advice guidance, important to have a common understanding and level playing field, and mostly have been addressed at IMO PPR 5, PPR 6, at MEPC 74, which a number of people in this room, of course, attended. MEPC 74 provided much of the needed clarity by adopting guidance for the following: consistent implementation of the 0.5% sulfur cap limit under MARPOL Annex 6, with sections on the impact on fuel and machinery systems resulting from new fuel blends or fuel types, verification issues and control mechanism as actions, including port state control and samples of fuel used on board. A standard reporting format for fuel oil non-availability, so-called FONA. Secondly, ongoing compliance in the case of failure of a single monitoring instrument and recommended actions to take if the exhaust gas system cleaning system, EGCS, fails to meet the provisions of the guidelines. Thirdly, port state control and contingency measures for addressing non-compliant fuel oil. The guidance covers possible actions to be taken following discussions between ship, flag state, and port state when a ship is found to have on board non-compliant fuel, either as a consequence of compliant fuel oil being not available when the ship bunkered fuel on the ship identifying, or the ship identifying through post-bunkering testing that the fuel oil on board had been non-compliant. I think we don't need to. Okay, so on scrubbers, MEPC 74 approved new work items for its subcommittee on pollution prevention and response, PPR's 2020-2021 biannual agenda, which will next meet at PPR 7, which is in February 2020. PPR 7 is expected to further review the documents that were submitted to MEPC 74 to refine the title and scope of the output, and will report the outcome of its consideration to MEPC. MEPC 74 also instructed the Secretariat to liaise with the joint group of experts on the scientific aspects of marine environmental protection, GESAMP, an advisory body that advises the United Nations system on the scientific aspects of marine environmental protection. MEPC 74 also requested, subject to sufficient external funding being provided by member states and other stakeholders, a GESAMP team to be established to assess the available evidence relating to the environmental impact of discharges of exhaust gas cleaning system effluent, with a view to reporting its findings to PPR 7. We move then to harmful aquatic organisms in ballast water. The committee has on ballast water, I wish to give a brief update on the current endeavor establishing a same risk area within ASEAN zone in Asia. ASEAN states are conducting studies of their local waters, list of species. Singapore and Malaysia have completed and currently ID making progress. While it is still work in progress, I wish to thank FASA, Datu Haq from Malaysia, Mr. Bumin Halin from Indonesia, and the SSA for their continued contribution to these efforts. I also wish to express our appreciation to IMO, MEP, SEAS project, which have provided some technical support in this initiative. Here's the brief outline of the overall SRA framework. FASA remains hopeful that the plan will be implemented in time in ASEAN waters. In the worst case scenario, the network of bilateral agreements between individual states in the interim. CO2 reductions from shipping, MEPC focus on EEDI and EEOI. MEPC 74 EEDI. MEPC 74 approved for adoption at the next session in April 2020 amendments to MARPOL Annex 6 to significantly strengthen the EEDI Phase 3 requirements for several new ship types, including gas carriers, general cargo, and LNG carriers. MEPC also agreed that EEDI reduction rate for container ships should be reduced even further, up to 50% for the largest class of ships. It also agreed to form a correspondence group to look into the introduction of a possible Phase 4. Multi-donor trust funding for greenhouse gas. MEPC agreed to establish a voluntary multi-donor trust fund, GHGTC trust fund, to provide a dedicated source of financial support for technical cooperation and capacity building activities to support the implementation of the initial IMO strategy on reduction of greenhouse gases from ships. First step in answering this very important question is, of course, who pays, how much, and where will the money go? The SNEC will continue to provide updates as this develops. piracy and armed robbery. On maritime security, piracy and armed robbery matters, I'm pleased to report that for 2018, it marks the lowest number of reported incidents in Asia since the RECAP ISC first began keeping records in 2007. Year-to-date data for 2019 shows a continued decrease with isolated incidents involving theft of low-value items. Even whilst we're seeing encouraging news from RECAP, there are still developments in the Gulf of Guinea which are of concern to shipping. Some shipping companies have adopted the use of armed guards, and while there will be some mandatory use of armed guards drawn from uniformed services of the littoral states, it is an expensive and a mandatory measure, whilst effectiveness may vary. Added to that, even with more recent developments around the Persian Gulf area, the SNEC Committee will also be looking closely at the situation in the Persian Gulf following the recent decision by the Joint War Committee to expand the listed areas to include the Gulf, announced only last week, 17th of May. We will also work closely with data culled from both IFC and RECAP in our endeavor to keep the SNCC Committee abreast of developments. Thank you very much for your attention.
Is there any comments from the floor?
Yes.
Please.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just have a question for the SNEC. In the SILC, there's talk about the issues with unmanned and maritime autonomous surface ships. So basically, autonomous ships. I know maybe for us it's kind of some issues very far ahead, but it's been raised that because Asia has the I guess the most user of maritime services as well as builders in the world. I don't know if from Asia if we have any, I don't know if either your committee or in our committee we kind of start looking at this. I was wondering if SNEC will also maybe take some time to look at the issue. Maybe it's decades or maybe it could be quite fast, in the future.
Thank you. Things happen quickly, so to answer your question, we have not dealt with this issue as yet, but we will put it on our agenda for the next meeting in September. Thank you.
Any more comments? Questions? Well, if there is no comments or any question, I would like to move to Ship Policy Committee, Mr. Yuji Isoda. Please.
Thank you, Chairman. As Chairman of the Shipping Policy Committee, I'd like to give a report on the activities of the SPC after the last ASA annual general meeting in Hong Kong. Page 2 of the slide. The SPC held its 31st interim meeting in Singapore on March 13th this year. 17 delegates from the ASA member associations of ASEAN, Chinese Taipei, Japan, and Korea attended the meeting and exchanged views on these agenda items. If you look at the slide, 6 items here, and I will elaborate each one later. Also in the morning session today, we shared updated information on the recent maritime policy, including the US-China trade war. Page 3. A special lecture on Maritime Singapore by MPA. At our Singapore meeting, firstly, Ms. Tan Ben Thi, Assistant Chief Executive for the Development of the Maritime Port Authority Singapore, kindly welcomed all participants and presented on Maritime Singapore, whose summary is shown on the slide. Page 4. With regard to this developments of international maritime policy part, Mr. Simon Bennett, ICS, gave a detailed presentation. Simon outlined the high-level risks which currently the world economy faces, such as the U.S.-China trade conflict, increased U.S. corporate debt, a downturn in Chinese economy, a disorderly Brexit, an Italy debt crisis, and disruption from cyber attacks. Particular attention was focused on the so-called global trade war, not only the one between the US and China, but concerning US tariffs on EU car manufacturers and EU security concerns about Chinese technology companies. Although the shipping industry is limited by what it can do and influence on such matters, SPC have unanimously agreed that we should continue our support for a rule-based multilateral trading system through the WTO, and for the preservation and the promotion of free trade policies and principles around the world. In this respect, our morning session today confirmed the points of the global shipping sector position paper on free trade and the WTO, which was jointly produced by ASA, EXA, and ICS. Page 5. As another important policy matter, GHG issue were also discussed at our March meeting, but I will skip this page because other 5S committee has already explained these issues. Page 6, public awareness of 2020 sulfur global cap. With regard to this topic, we invited Ms. Meiti Bolivar Kralap, Southeast Asia General Manager of BIMCO, to our internal meeting, and she reported on the ramifications of the 2020 sulfur global cap. She stressed the importance of preparing for compliance with the implementation of the sulfur cap by each shipping company in order to ensure a level playing field. Also, compliance with the new regulations may present serious challenges to the shipping industry. In this connection, delegates share information on the published materials to educate the general public on this issue. And the JSA, Japanese Shipping Association, Ship Owners Association, presented the brochure issued in autumn last year. SPC confirmed the importance of our efforts to keep raising public awareness on this in many ways, like issuing brochures and holding open seminars. Page 7, protectionist measures in the world. We had an intense discussion during the last internal meeting and the brief meeting this morning concerning the protectional measures in the US, Russia, Indonesia, and the Philippines. In the US, recently, 2 lawmakers started working on the reintroduction of the cargo reservation bill, which would require a certain percentage of all American exports of crude oil and LNG to be transported on US-flagged, US-built, US-manned vessels. In Russia, the regulation, which includes cargo reservation provision, came into effect on the 1st January this year. The regulation includes for the oil, natural gas, and coal produced in Russian territory to be transported exclusively by Russian-flagged ships to the first point of unloading or transshipment, while some designated foreign-flagged vessels have been exempted by a decree stipulated on March 14 this year. In Indonesia, although the implementation date has been postponed, a new decree that would reserve the carriage of coal and palm oil exports to Indonesian vessels has been promulgated and will be implemented on May 1st, 2020. Meanwhile, relevant foreign stakeholders, including ASA, have published position papers and sent letters or demarches to the Indonesian government for reconsidering such cargo reservation. However, the Indonesian government is still pushing the implementation. In the Philippines, the Philippine government imposed a 3% common carrier tax, CCT, on the gross receipts generated from import freight revenues by foreign shipping companies only. The CCT appears to be discriminatory and also contravenes the customary international practices. In addition to the CCT issue, the Philippine government has promulgated a draft joint administrative order which includes a ban or government intervention on surcharges. Although it is not considered a protectionist measure, provisions of surcharge restrictions are inconsistent with international practices and may contravene some of the Philippines' international treaty obligations. We have agreed that ASA, in collaboration with other shipping organizations such as ICS and EXA, should oppose such protectionist or unilateral measures and continue our efforts to ensure an environment for fair competition in global shipping markets. Page 8, antitrust immunity. At the interim meeting, recent developments in a number of jurisdictions were reported. One of the major developments was the case of the EU, where the current consortia block exemption regulation will expire in April 2020 and is currently being reviewed by the European Commission. ASA submitted a joint comment with EXA, ICS, and WSC, the World Shipping Council, in December last year. A staff working documents by the Commission is to be issued in the second quarter of 2019, this year. And the final decision will likely be made by the end of this year. In addition, there have been developments in some ASA nations such as Malaysia, Australia, India, and the Philippines. The meeting reconfirmed the ASA's long-standing policy that the antitrust immunity system for all types of cooperative shipping agreements was absolutely indispensable for the healthy development of the shipping industry and the entire trading industry. Okay, let's move on to the page 9. Anti-corruption issues. SPC members were updated on recent trends in corrupt practices affecting the maritime industry based on information provided by the SPC attorney. It was reiterated that bribery, facilitation payments, and other forms of corruption had been long-standing, deep-rooted obstacles to fair trade for shipping companies, and we agreed continuously address this important task in collaboration with interested parties. Page 10. With regard to canal issues, delegates reaffirmed that the regular dialogue between canal authorities and canal users was important in order to ensure a safe transit environment and to prevent the recurrence of excessive and short-notice canal toll increases. At the morning meeting today, it was reported that the Panama Canal Authority was currently reviewing their toll system and would notify of something not before too long. Page 11. Finally, let me briefly touch upon the planned major agenda for activities this year. The first agenda item is protectionist measures in the world. It is quite important to observe development in collaboration with member associations and international shipping organizations such as ICS. With regard to antitrust immunities, as mentioned, maintenance for cooperative shipping agreements is an important long-standing agenda item for us, and therefore we will keep close attention on these, especially EU developments, whose results may seriously affect the current activities of liner alliances in the world. Page 12. As for canal issues, we agree that ASA should continue regular dialogue with the Panama Canal Authority and seek a similar mechanism with Suez Canal Authority in cooperation with other member associations and the international maritime associations. As for environmental regulations and bribery, we will carefully observe those developments, and if required, we will coordinate and disseminate ASA opinions on these important issues. That's all from SPC. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Any comments? Any questions from the floor? Well, if not, thank you very much, Mr. Yuji Isoda. Now I would like to move on and invite Mr. Ron Huang, Chairman of Chip Recycle Committee, to present the report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to report on the activities of the Ship Recycling Committee. As you can see from this slide, annual gross tonnage of recycled ships showed steady growth in mid-long term after hitting bottom between 2005 and 2007. Four major ship recycling countries, that is Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, and China, are covering global demand for ship recycling, while China will reduce portion following its ban on import of vessels for recycling with foreign flag from this year, 2018. Southwest Asian yards, shown in blue color, handled over 90% of ship recycling market share in gross tonnage basis. According to Clarkson's research, predicted that 2019 will decrease by 10% year on year, but 2020 will increase drastically. In the long range, ship recycling demand is expected to be steady growth. This is supported by the fact that shipping companies are forced to upgrade their ships with new technologies in compliance with stricter environmental requirements and economic efficiency. You can identify difference of scenery of picture from left to right. Yards in India and Bangladesh are improving. Especially in India, 77 out of 120 active yards in Aran are certified by IX members classification societies, including 27 by Class NK. Remaining uncertified yards will be upgraded by Japanese ODA project. India is aiming to complete required process for ratification during summer-autumn session of Parliament after general election. In Bangladesh, active movement to upgrade yards and operations to obtain Hong Kong Convention compliant status has now started after PHP ship breaking and recycling industries, was awarded with a statement of compliance to Hong Kong Convention for the first time in Bangladesh. Please refer to the right-hand bottom side figure. Enthusiasm for improvement of both government and private sectors is remarkable. Bangladesh declared to ratify Hong Kong Convention by 2022. Now, ship recycling yards can be categorized by 3 types. First, substandard yards. Second, Hong Kong Convention compliant yards. Third, Hong Kong Convention Plus, higher grade yards listed by EU. We summarized character of each category on the sheet. Hong Kong Convention Plus is initiated by EU ship recycling regulation. We firmly believe we must take road to Hong Kong Convention certified yards for the following reasons. Substandard yards are out of our scope, as usage of them will devalue ship owners who are expected to perform duty to contribute to environmentally friendly and safe ship recycling as good global citizens. Users of substandard yards will face risk to possible losing support from customers and financiers in future. Limited numbers of Hong Kong Convention Plus approved yards, so far EU listed yards, are only available in Europe, Turkey, and US without any yards in Asia. It would be costly to upgrade to the level of EU additional requirements on top of Hong Kong Convention. Some Indian yard operators started the upgrade by huge investment facilities. Our preferred direction is to give first priority to increase of Hong Kong Convention certified yards that are geographically well balanced. Since adoption of Hong Kong Convention, we walked steady step toward enactment of Hong Kong Convention. First target was to upgrade yards and operations in India, which is well performed. Next target is increased numbers of ratified countries, which will be matured soon. Further target is promotion for China's prompt ratification, which will contribute to put green light for enactment of Hong Kong Convention. Without enactment of Hong Kong Convention, we are in difficulty to have level playing field. Without enactment of Hong Kong Convention, yard operators who have invested in upgrading their facilities are in difficulty to induce sufficient number of recycling ships due to certain number of ship owners being apt to sell at higher price offered by substandard yard operators. We strongly believe that Hong Kong Convention is the only available global instrument for sustainable business with sustainable ship recycling. Now, we are close to the enactment of the Hong Kong Convention. In this 10th anniversary year after adoption of Hong Kong Convention, 6 countries ratified the convention: Turkey, the Netherlands, Republic of Serbia, Japan, Estonia, and Malta. Total 12 countries have now ratified the convention, which is close to the 15 required number to fulfill one condition for enactment of Hong Kong Convention. Japan is the first country in Asia with following Asian countries, hopefully India and China. The key to its enactment according to several concerned government sources, both Germany and India were ready to ratify the convention in the near future. To enact Hong Kong Convention, we must satisfy three conditions which are indicated on this sheet. First, number of countries. Second, size of merchant fleet belonging to ratified countries. Third, capacity of ship recycling. Left-hand side figures shows this simulation as at the ratification of both Germany and India this year as expected. One more country will be needed. Both merchant fleet size and ship recycling capacity will not be enough to achieve another two conditions. Right-hand side figures show the case by adding China. All three conditions will be achieved. Then our dream will come true. We must recognize the importance to fulfill ASA SRC standing policy. First, priority usage of green yards. Second, ensuring to equip appropriate inventory of hazardous materials on board. And third, by providing our know-how to develop the improvement to green yards. Enhancement of corporate social responsibility is substantially essential to develop our business year by year. Everybody is watching our activities. Asia is represented by major presence in respect of shipbuilding and ship recycling as shown in this slide. Most vessels are built in Asia and return to Asia at the end of their operation life. It's not an overstatement to say that ASA is a witness for the entire duration of each ship's life. It's our destiny to promote fastest enactment of Hong Kong Convention, considering the home field and also have members from the influential two countries. Therefore, ASA SRC would like to urge both India and China to promptly ratify the convention as a key to achieve the enactment of Hong Kong Convention for preservation of the global environment. The presence of ASA is being felt. After ASA hosted first global ship owners meeting on ship recycling in conjunction with ASA AGM in Hong Kong 2018, we actively participated in many events such as Industry Working Group on Ship Recycling in London, SEN SRC workshop with site visit in Bangladesh, and JSA's India visit with site visit, etc. We are most frequent visitors to sites in Southwest Asia ship recycling countries and perform fact-finding through regular dialogue with concerned governments and ship recyclers. Our activities are well known to the world. You can see example of headlines in media. Reporting announcement of INSA in this slide. Trade Winds Ship Recycling Forum is one of the most influential seminars, and we participated in it for the third consecutive year. At the forum in Hong Kong this March, I made a presentation to share ASA's voice, and Mr. Tomoda, chairman of the JSA Ship Recycling Committee, participated in the panel discussions in order to ensure early enactment of Hong Kong Convention. Our Ship Recycling Committee held a meeting in Taipei on 15th March, and we shared recent developments in ship recycling and discussed how to approach key countries for prompt enactment of Hong Kong Convention. Under our belief, seeing is believing, JSA visited Bangladesh in April and checked 6 yards, holding dialogues with concerned parties. JSA recognized latest condition of ship recycling yards in Bangladesh and its potential to be one of the core countries for future green recycling, together with India. Subject to overcome outstanding requirement to setting up TSDF, that means treatment, storage, and disposal facility, and upgrading yards and operations as India has done. In addition, we participated in second industry working group on ship recycling and the international seminar on ship recycling by IMO, JG in London this month. At the seminar, on behalf of ASA, Secretary General Captain Ang made a presentation and spoke about our activities to ensure fastest enactment of Hong Kong Convention. I'd like to stress again that the only available instrument for global green recycling is Hong Kong Convention. And we have spent enough time for Hong Kong Convention enactment. In this 10th anniversary of Hong Kong Convention's adoption, growing momentum for enactment clearly points out actions to be taken. But it is not easy, and it needs all hands to achieve. The key to fastest enactment is China. ASA SRC urges all members associations to be active in the China promotion project. Continue approaches to their own governments and the China to hasten process of Hong Kong Convention ratification in China. And second global shipowners meeting is proposing to be held in China next year, according to the result of the meeting this morning. ASA SRC must upgrade and strengthen its approach to media for motivating prompt ratification by targeted countries. In addition, our continuing efforts of regular contact and dialogue with India, Bangladesh, strengthen recommendation to Asian shipowners about green yard nomination, proper IHM preparation, careful monitoring EU SRR, and strengthening relationship with media is essential. We must keep running together toward the enactment. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Any comments, questions from the floor? Yes, please. Any microphone? Can you provide microphone?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Well, the presentation by SRC Chairman touched upon the several meetings, including second global shipowners meeting in China. And JSA think that these kind of activity is very good opportunity to send messages to key relating countries from the point of view of ratification of the Hong Kong Convention. So JSA Japan would like to strongly support this kind of activities. And I strongly hope that the people in this room will be able to attend this kind of meeting, as many as possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Ono-san. Are there any more questions, comments? If there is no question and comments, thank you, Mr. Lon Huang. Item number 3 shall be taken as complete, and we shall proceed to agenda item number 4. I will invite our Secretary General to go through item 4, which is financial matters.
Thank you, Chairman. Let's go on to the financial report. This item consists of 2 components, the income and expenditure for 2018 and budget for 2019. And then the second one is a statement of accounts and auditors report for the financial year 2018. You will find in your folder the various items. The document shows financial income and expenditure for 2018. Please refer to your folder. As a proof for 2019 is attached in Annex 4.1 in the delegates folder. The budget for 2019 was tabled during the 24th Chairman's meeting held in Bangkok on 7th November 2018, and it was approved and circulated on 11 December 2018. The ASA Chairman's meeting held yesterday reconfirmed the budgeted income expenditure for 2018 was Singapore dollars 654,880, and the actual income expenditure for 2018 was $522,886.
AGM is now requested to officially approve and adopt expenditure for 2018 and approve budget for 2019. With no objection, agenda item number 4.1, expenditure for 2018 and approved budget for 2019 is hereby formally approved and adopted. Please, Captain.
Thank you, Chairman. I will move on to the next item. The independent auditor's report for the financial year is given in Annex 4.2 in your folder. And now we will proceed to the next item. This is, as far as the financial report is concerned, CASA Alliances has issued an unqualified clean opinion on the audited financial statements for the financial year. In the auditor's opinion, the financial statements are properly drawn up in accordance with the provisions of the Societies Act and the financial reporting standard in Singapore. This is so as to present fairly in all material aspects the state of the affairs of the association, the accounting and other records required by the Society's regulations enacted under the Act to be kept by the association and have been properly kept in accordance with those regulations. Okay. So
Any questions? Comments? The AGM is now invited to approve and adopt audit statement of account and auditor's report financial years 2018. With no objection, the agenda item number 4.2, the audited statement of account and auditor's report for financial year 2018 is hereby formally approved and adopted. Let's go to item number 3.4, Captain Ong.
Okay, the AGM is now invited to approve the appointment of Messrs. CASA Alliances, Chartered Accountants of Singapore as the auditor.
All agree? With no objection, Ms. CASA Alliance Chartered Account of Singapore shall be appointed as auditor. Item 4 shall be taken as complete, and we shall proceed to next agenda. This will be a little bit long, so bear with us. Captain Ng.
During the 25th Chairman's meeting held in Bangkok on the 27th of May, it was proposed to have ASA constitution to be revised with the objective to incorporate associate members. The AGM is now invited to approve and adopt the proposed amendment. However, before we go on to further, the delegates folder was actually, you have been given revision number 3, which was the last valid constitution, and the proposed revision 4. However, at yesterday's meeting, at the chairman's meeting, we have decided that the chairman has decided, or members of the chairman has decided that there should be a little bit of modification, and we will show you this modification. So what has happened is that in clause 5.3, what is in the proposed version should be amended. Clause 5.3 should be amended to read as follows. The chairman of the member organizations and the SecGen have been given a hard copy. For the other members of the delegate, can you please refer to the screen? So that is clause 5.3, and clause 5.3, this is the version that was agreed by the chairman and the secretary general. And I will read for you as follows. To have its representative attend all meetings of ASA except the chairman's council, with the approval of the chairman chairing the meeting, including standing committee meetings and other associated work groups. In the case of the AGM, such approval is not required in accordance with clause 18.1. So this was approved by the chairman's meeting. Okay, the next one is clause 13.8. The clause 13.8 at the chairman's meeting has now been revised to read as follows. All decisions of the chairman's council shall be made by consensus. You will find that there are other portions that is all to be removed. In clause 13.9, it will be completely removed. And clause 14, subsection 2, okay, it will be modified to read as follows: to omit members, suspend or terminate their membership or accept their resignation. So one item there, alter, has been removed. The AGM is now invited to approve and adopt the proposed revised amendments to the ASA Constitution.
Any comments? The chairman meeting yesterday spent about almost 2 hours, went through all revised the constitution. Is there any objection to agenda item number 5, the amendment to ASA Constitution for incorporating association members is hereby finally approved and adopted? Yeah, thank you. Now we are proceeding to item number 6, election of President and Vice President. In accordance with the clause number 11 of the ASA Constitution, the Presidency and Vice Presidency of ASA shall be rotated among members in the north to south geographical sequence. Next in the rotation will be Australia, and the AGM is now invited to confirm the election of Mr. David Pramither, MIAL, as new President of ASA for the term of 1 year to replace me, Bhumin Harinsut, and Captain Arnob Kumar Sharma of INSA as the Vice Chairman of ASA for a term of 1 year in place of Mr. David Pramither. Of course, no objection. With no objection, Mr. David Pramither shall be confirmed as new President of ASA and Captain Arnob Kumar Sharma as the new Vice President of ASA, and their terms of office shall begin from tomorrow, 29th May 2019, until the next ASA AGM 2020. Congratulations. Let's go to item 7 and place, that is the date and place of the next meeting, please.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd just like to say at the outset, it is a great honour to be appointed as Chairman of ASA. I particularly want to thank the outgoing Chairman for his leadership over the last 12 months, and particularly for his leadership around this week's conference and over the last 2 days. And I'm very grateful he will continue in that role up until the conclusion of this week's conference. I'd ask the delegates to show their appreciation for the role of the outgoing Chairman by joining me in a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honour for Australia to host the ASA Annual General Meeting in 2020. The destination for you all next year, I know, has been a topic of interest, and we want to show you a video that will advise you of where we will be meeting in 12 months' time. And at the conclusion of the video, I will say a few words. So hopefully the technology will work. And for those of you who may be wondering where exactly Darwin is, we've provided you a map. Ladies and gentlemen, let me make a couple of comments. Darwin is a very exciting location. It is a part of Australia most visitors do not get to see. It is Australia's open door to Asia. It is our link to the region. And I'm happy to say it is connected with very good air services from the major Asian capital cities, with direct flights to and from Darwin. It is also a place that is surrounded by areas of great natural beauty. It is part of a very unique environment, and if you have the time, I strongly suggest you take the opportunity to visit some of these locations. One, for example, is the Kakadu National Park, which is a nature reserve which is quite unique. I think you could be safely say there is nothing like it anywhere else on Earth. So if you have the time, you think you will enjoy the opportunity to see not just Darwin, but the areas around it. So ladies and gentlemen, we look forward to welcoming you all to Darwin in 12 months' time.
Of course, don't forget to give us the date. Well, thank you very much, David. Now we go to item number 8, any other business. The floor is now open for raising any other business in addition to those tabled for decision by AGM. There seem to be no any other business. Now, I would like to mention, as I mentioned in the in my opening speech, about shipping a young executive was approved by Chairman Group as the other as a 6S. So I would like those who attend the session this afternoon to talk about it, how you want to set up, how you we were recommended yesterday in the chairman group that the chairman should be rotate the term of 2 years, and maximum 2 years terms. Please discuss and get back to us through the section for formally approved by the next chairman meetings. All items on AGM agenda are covered, and with no other further issue to be raised, I would hereby declare 28th ASA AGM is a successful complete. And I would like to thank all the delegates who attend the AGM and all the support that you have given me, including Section, who work very hard, and the team. Thank you very much. And we still have a lot of activities ahead of us today and also tomorrow. So don't go away. Thank you very much. Now, Captain Ng, the section has some announcement.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. There are some announcements I would like to make. After this announcement, everyone in this hall is invited to remain here for a group photograph. After the group photograph, the Chairman and the Secretary General of ASA member associations, the Chairman and Secretaries of the ASA 5 standing committees are to proceed to Princess Valaya Alongkom drawing room at level 2 to do the press release finalization meeting. Lunch will be served at Crystal A level 3, which is next door. Delegates will proceed there after the group photograph. Please note that this evening, the gala dinner, which is after the Young Shipping Executive Forum, will be held at Crystal B foyer at level 3. That is all the announcement, and thank you for attending and for your attention. Let us all proceed for the group photograph, and we have people to help us to chaperone so that we will make sure that everybody is in the photograph. Thank you.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, may I kindly ask for all the ASA delegates with the blue lanyard, similar color as mine, to come up onto the stage, please. We have 4 lines here in front of the stage. Please come up. For the red lanyards, for the chairman and the section of each respective association, please stand by. You'll be sitting in front row. Okay. Yeah. Well, please, yes, we have the 4 lines here, okay? Yep. Please, come into the middle, it's okay. Okay. Come in.
So for the gentleman who knows that you are taller than 180, please proceed to the last row. Ladies, we would prefer you to be out front. We won't be able to see your face at the back. Ladies, please proceed out front in the front line. We won't be able to see you at the back, okay?
Yeah. So all the chairmen and sections, okay, of each respective association will be sitting on the front row. Yeah. Okay, they're arranging the seats right now.
the front row is still quite empty. So, sir, gentlemen, sir, if you could please, yep. The gentleman in the front, in the last row at the back, please proceed out. Please proceed out front. We're still very empty out here. We can't see your face over there. Yeah, please. From this row onwards. Person in the red lanyard, please proceed out front. Okay? So we're still missing Patrick Lin and Ron Wang. Please do not hide. Yeah, Right, everything in order?